You're watching Notepad with me, Ibrahim Sani. Our focus this week is, of course, on the Axiata-Telenor mega merger that is poised to become one of the biggest, if not the biggest, listed company in the country by end year. So to understand this a little bit better, I speak with Janice Chong, a director of Fitch Ratings. Janice, the announcement has been made by both Axiata and Telenor jointly, and this has somewhat shocked the markets. What can we learn more about this particular merger at this point in time?
The merger is likely to reap most of its synergies in Malaysia, as both parties have equal footing. Now, the enlarged entity would also enable them to compete better on data pricing, network capacity, as well as spectrum holdings. In Malaysia, telecom's revenue have been on a declining trend. And in order to capture some of this profitable growth, telcos will need to manage costs as well as to scale up to achieve economies of scale. Now, other areas of operational synergies that can be achieved would be regional procurement and to integrate tower assets across the region.
Yes, of course, Janice, but of course the entity, right now we're just calling it MergeCo, will see not a 50-50% equal ownership. Telenor will actually own a little bit more at 57%, while Axiata will own about 43%. There is some sort of an equal balance here, with Telenor being able to name the CEO and Axiata will be able to name the chairman. But is this a merger of equals as stated by the Axiata press release?
I think much of the details are still out there. It's still very uncertain at this point in time. They have gone through preliminary discussion. But I would say that although Axiata is opting for a slightly smaller stake in its ownership of the merged entity, this will also enable them to have a larger presence in the region, up to 9 countries across ASEAN and South Asia.
Of course, the thing that is currently happening right now in this sector is the 5G emergence. A lot of countries are well on the way on building infrastructure to manage 5G support. Do you think that this merger is a merger of scale, that companies such as telcos need to merge with one another and amalgamate their businesses in order to for them to actually manage that scale right now?
Absolutely. Telcos will need to scale up in order to share some of the cost outlay for 5G. In order to have an end-to-end 5G coverage, significant cost outlay is needed for a standalone 5G network. And by merging, they are able to share some of the procurement costs, some of the perhaps spectrum bidding, and the network capacity as well.
Janice, we're still talking about mergers within the same sector. In the US and abroad, there are many countries, many companies that are currently merging between different sectors. Do you think that telco sector, at least in this part of the world, we're going to see a merger between non-vertical sectors, perhaps a telco merging with a non-telco? Is that a probability on the horizon?
In most markets, we see the dominance of 3 principal telcos, with smaller telcos eventually finding it hard to compete and weeded out through industry consolidation. So telecom carriage services are increasingly commoditized, and telcos would then need to expand or converge into other areas such as media and content. And we have seen that happening. In fact, in South Korea recently, we see the South Korean telecoms acquiring cable TV companies in order to improve their content procurement, even developing new content, as well as scaling up to achieve the kind of economies of scale.
Finally, Janice, I'd like to focus on risk. Do you think that risk pertaining to emerging markets actually outweigh the gains coming in from it? As in, do you think that the growth potential for emerging markets currently outweigh the emerging market risk?
You're right. The growth potential in these emerging markets are better than developed markets. However, it comes with risk, such as regulatory risk, tax issues, uncertainty, even heightened competition and higher capex intensity in most of these markets. But I would say that for a regional telco, they could draw on the technical expertise, on the relevant experience, customer experience and marketing expertise they have across the region, and to deploy some of these experiences in this market. And one could also market digital advertising, pursue data analytics across this telecoms asset, whereby telecoms essentially owns the subscriber base and do have a stronger relationship with the customers.
Right, that was Janice Chong, Director of Corporates at Fitch Ratings. Thanks very much for watching. Until next time.